Okay. I think I finally got it fixed. So, thank you everybody. Hopefully you can see me. That's what I'm praying for. And with that in mind, I just want to say welcome and thank you. And let me see. I'm going to ask. I'm just typing this in. So, can you see me at the moment? So, please let me know. And kind of awkward here. It was working fine. Of course, I checked it and now it's not going to. And let me just go here. All right. So, let me just double check. Can anybody see me? Or can anybody hear me? Oh, good. All right, good. So you see me and you hear me. Good, because I don't see or hear anybody right now. So that's why I'm just checking. Whew. Thank you, everybody, for helping me. Okay, so first of all, as always do, I'd like to put special shout outs. First of all, thank you so much, everybody, for your comments. Every week I read them all. I may not respond to them all, but it really means the world to me. And with that in mind, I wanted to say a special thank you to those who shared the video. It was Feng Shui Everything Alexa, Giddy Del Grosso, Cheryl Turnover Watson, Ed Dwyer, Megan McCary, Lorraine Campoli McDonald, Taylor Bintliff Green, and I want to thank all of you. And what I wanted to say is really just in response to, the flow of the river this week. You probably saw me put on the Cherokee proverb, the teaching story about the two wolves. And the idea is that the wolf that wins is the wolf that you feed. And I think that was especially telling. It was interesting because I always do the prayers and meditations before, sometimes several weeks or so before 3D time catches up and picking the image. And of course, we all know the outrage with George Floyd. And the reason why I bring that up is because the flow of the river this week talks about what you're going to be choosing to give power to, the leaders that you're going to choose. And with this outrageous event, again, all the different reactions that happen, both the wolves within us rising. And yes, there should be outrage, but let's choose to feed the wolf of standing together. Let's choose to feed the wolf of guiding our leaders. And we don't have to just wait for their permission, we are our brother's keeper. And watching over and taking care of each other, we have the solution in our hands right now with all of this. So what I wanted to say with this flow of the river is the time of rest is over, and what a way to start. I don't know about the rest of you, but this week really started off with a bang for me. And I don't know how it was for the rest of you. But with that, choose to give power to those things that will help us rise beyond toxicity, beyond the things that drag us down. It doesn't mean that you're turning a blind eye. It doesn't mean that you're pretending that it's not happening. But what it means is that you're giving energy to acknowledging a problem. You're acknowledging something, this is one example, a horrible example of what we need to pay attention to. Because what we tolerate, we allow. So if you begin to actively participate in things that are life affirming, if you actively participate with other people in creating actions that can create solid new beginnings for everybody and keep them that way, then this is what's going to happen. Live to create the best possible outcome for yourself and others every day, which means you don't do it by yourself. You help each other, you work together. And with this in mind, it's now time to live beyond crisis mode. So I'm just going to share some personal thoughts and observations, which have been, I know everybody, at least here in Pennsylvania, I know it could be similar in other parts of the country, and I know in other parts of the world, where we are done like we're done with being separate from each other. But what worries me is seeing how people are potentially forgetting the lessons that we've learned. I see people just jumping on the freeway and driving without a thought or a care like before. Just that whole, it's a kind of boggling to me. It's as if we're forgetting the lessons that this period of quietude has given us. So, with the flow of the river, the idea is, you know, it's time now, not to just go back to it because it's what we knew and forget what we've learned. This is now the time, literally, to seriously, mindfully demolish what doesn't serve anymore. Take a stand for what matters and for what can work. We have proof of concept over the 3 months. We have now seen different corruptions in different systems and things that are broken. So the energy of the river this week is one of really trying to lift us and push us into action, into back into life, but carrying the lessons, integrating the lessons that we have as individuals and as a collective together. And I guess one thing when I was doing my prayers, one thing that came, and I'm just, was that the point of all this revolution is to allow for healing and to bring elements back into balance. So, from a spiritual standpoint, this would be for us, we would say the 5 elements, fire, which is the life force. How are you using the energy of your life? Are you using it in a way that truly is living to the fullest? From a mindset, air, the element of air. Are your thoughts your own? Are they driven by fear? Are they driven by compassion? And being really aware of where your philosophy, what is the drive behind the mental lenses that you're wearing? Water is what's in your heart and emotions. And again, in this period of time, what really has given me joy is to see that around the world, we really understood that we were all experiencing similar things and speaking and talking to each other. So we shouldn't allow, just, okay, the clock is starting to just jump into it again. The old wounds rising up, yes, they will cause for old reactions to happen, both as a society where Black lives do matter, but as individuals too. So again, from water, we need to change. There's been poison water in there, and it's time to change that now. And in Native, we call sweet water life-giving water. How do we give life to ourselves and to others? And it even goes beyond that. It goes beyond the now, and it flows into the future. Earth, well, it's all been about Mother Earth. She's been trying to teach us that we're not disconnected from her. We are part of her. And what Earth represents, the building blocks, physical and otherwise, that we're going to be using to build life. So let's choose carefully. This week is all about, okay, let's put together those things that we have been given. And of course, the 5th element, the greatest, is spirit, the essence from which everything comes from. So what essence are we going to choose for ourselves and as a global family? We touch each other. We've talked about this before. So when ugliness is going to erupt, and that's one thing that I was mentioning over, I guess, last week or so, and here we are, then yes, there might be that knee-jerk reaction, Yes, you're going to get angry. Yes, depressed. I won't deny that I was a little discouraged to see like people were forgetting. But then I held myself back and I said, well, I can either stay discouraged or allow my moment and say, you know what? But that's not everybody. That's not everybody. And with that idea of when something ugly happens, and after you have that emotional reaction, then the way that it's going to be resolved is coming from that higher place, right? What do I mean by that? That means that if somebody punches you in the face, kicking them in the groin is not going to solve the problem, all right? It's just propagation of wound. You don't clean up a mess by creating a worse one, mindlessly. It just doesn't work. So when you come from that highest place, this means that you're not looking down on anybody. Ain't nobody better than nobody. But it's that idea of thinking from the place of humanity, of empathy, of, okay, when responding to the wounds, responding to the needs in a way that it is fair for the one that needs to be taken care of, in addition to keeping maintained for the future in that sense. Not allowing yourself to be dragged into the venom and blindness of that. And I'll have to say, a lot of times mainstream media can be extremely inflammatory. That's what I find. And some of the greatest truths I find, of course, and each of you the same, when you're quiet within yourself. It's okay to pay attention, listen, but listen, speak to each other, listen again. So when you're coming from that highest place of not needing to win, that highest place of universal values, where again, everyone deserves to live in a place that is safe. The future generations cry out to us now to make ourselves whole. It's not just for us, it is for every living being that is going to come behind us, is calling for this now. And that's the importance of what I would have to say to you is, this is the time of the peaceful warrior. It doesn't mean picking up sticks and stones. And read about those whom you admire that were able to change the world in a powerful way, peacefully. So, I'll share some of mine, and I would really welcome you if you can find a good autobiography or something of them. Of course, Gandhi, that shouldn't be a surprise. I've read and studied Gandhi, where he liberated a whole country, without a shot. The compassion of Mother Teresa. And believe it or not, I love Jim Henson. I read for him once. He was an amazing guy, where he had such vision to make the world laugh. So even in the poorest countries, you'll see, we call him Kermit here. That frog has many different names. But study those people that have changed the world in a good way, beyond themselves. And if you're attracted to them, I'll tell you a secret. Maybe it's not so secret. But if you're attracted to them, it's because there's something within you that resonates with them, which means you have that ability too. That's why you connect with them. So when you do that and you study and you think, this helps so much. And another one that I would have to say too, and I think is a pretty cool dude, is the Dalai Lama. Because he just is, I find him down to earth with being spiritual. Not that I'm a Buddhist, but there's a book that he and the Archbishop Desmond Tutu wrote called The Book of Joy. And I think that'd be good for all of you if you get a chance to read it. So I'm just saying, good to see everybody. And I just love all the comments that I'm seeing from, Deanna and Marie and Laura. So all I would say to you is the way out of all of this stuff is understanding how these old cycles got started to begin with. So remember, everything I say, we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So studying how old patterns and cycles came to be, how are they propagated? And by understanding that, there can be now conscious choice to not propagate them, to create change. And then when you go back into quietude, because that has to be part of this process, folks. There's been, I understand the desire to just get out there. We're sick of being stuck. But when, again, the ugly's coming up just as promised, good, we can now see it in the light of day and do something together now. But part of this is having to always go back to the quietude and to reflect and get perspective and vision. So again, the balance of duality, that quiet and speaking, and then that reflection and action has to take place. So with all of this, and again, that's very kind, Taylor, for you to say with that, but that's what I would say to all of you is that in this week, this is, and the other thing I forgot to say about this week, This week is extremely catalytic. It's going to be like lightning in your shorts, okay? Don't need caffeine this week. So what's really nice if it's harnessed, going, just a focused step can take you a long way. The universe is going to carry you. So I call it a little bit like a ghost pepper. I hope you like it hot, but if you use it just right, it can carry you further with very little effort. It allows for you to begin emotion, and while the universe is carrying you, you can use that vision to see what else that you would like to do. So, what I would say to you is pay attention to this week to what's coming up. All right? See what the universe puts in your face. It's not all going to be pretty, but that's okay. We don't need pretty. If I want pretty, I'll watch a Hallmark movie. You know what I mean? But I know that's not real life. And if it comes up, and it's all going to come up, not just the ugly stuff, it's all of it this week. Embrace it. And with that in mind, listening, what needs to be addressed? Let the emotions come up. Fall back. Talk to each other. Fall back. Create action. Choose your leaders. And since the essence of this is like lightning, it's transformative, it's movement, then don't fight it, but create rhythm. Remember that this is what this is all about. Since for lack of better words, there's a quickening energy with this. If you are doing spiritual studies of any sort or inner work, you're going to find that there will be a lot of answers for you. However, there's always a price. The price is that once you ask, it will be given. But once it's given, it has to be used. And I think that's fair. I think it's very fair to be saying that. So in closing, what I would say to you is, be fearless this week. Be really fearless. Since the time of rest is over, use these moments to take all this time of dreaming, reflection, we've missed each other, to turning them into events, turning them into experiences. When these ugly things come up, then don't fall into the blame game. Talk to the problem. Absolutely talk to the problem. But don't just brush everybody that you think fits into a category. As we say, if somebody puts a label, it dehumanizes. It tears the heart. And that's where the problem lies. But we see this now. We've seen by being in stillness for all these months how we truly are one family. That's one thing this virus did, folks. It didn't give a flying squirrel. Yeah, you thought I was going to say something else. But it doesn't give a flying squirrel whether you're rich or poor, what your ethnicity is, what your belief system is. It taught us that we all are one family. We all smile and rise and fall together. So now, in this week, the Great Spirit gives this force of lightning, this movement. It's time to wake up. It's time for movement. And children, show me. Demonstrate what you have learned. All of us have a part to play. Don't anybody ever let and tell you that it's not enough. Because you were born more than enough. That's why we're here. But now, it can't be just each of us as individuals. Again, meaningful conversations have to happen within us, between us. And with that, using this lightning, harnessing it. Being like the thunder gods, right? And what are we going to give life to? What are we going to spark into motion? And realizing that what you put into motion, you're going to be riding that wave that you create. So I'm going to say, have fun. But be mindful of the waves that you create. If they're done well, then what seems impossible becomes well within reach. And I firmly believe that all of us have part of that answer. So with all of that, I would say to you, I wish you much peace. Enjoy, dancing with the lightning this week, don't fear it. If you fear it, that's when it strikes you. If you're willing to embrace it, you're part of that energy of life, that together we stand, and that we can work things together. We don't need permission and to wait for some bureaucracy. If we are together and we have each other's backs, we've got this. So, again, as going to the old Cherokee story, yes, all of us have two wolves within us, one that is good and one that is evil. The good one, again, compassion, love, empathy. And the evil one, lies, corruption, depression, that desire for revenge. Choose to use that lightning to feed the wolf of good. And together we can be a pack that can be unstoppable and change the world in a way that the future generations will be proud of. So with that, my friends, I would say to you, much love, bright blessings, and Winishi. I hope to see you next Monday. And again, I am grateful for all of your thoughts and your sharing the time with me. So have a lovely rest of the evening and be at peace.